Welcome back, everybody. Welcome back to the Free Agents Podcast. Back again for some more pre-agents as we continue our journey through Real World Road Rules Challenge, Battle of the Sexes. Today, we're going to be talking about the middle portion of the season, episodes 7 through 13. Still have plenty more episodes to go in the back half in part 3 when we will have Mel back with us. But for now, it is me. I am Matt. Hello, here with Brian Scally. Scally, how's it going?
Hello. A little sick, but we're getting through. I just woke up and everyone else was already paired up, so we're here together talking about the challenge part 2. But I wouldn't have it any other way.
Yeah, there's been a lot of people sick on this challenge, previous challenges, so you're just kind of like matching their energy.
Exactly.
So we get it, we support it, and we will understand if there's a cough or sneeze that sneaks through today. But we have this middle batch of episodes to get to, as we of course already talked about the first couple of the season, really set the tone for what this season is going to look like. A whole lot of one particular character being Puck, and to get right into it, Puck is going to be gone by the time we're done today. Not even that deep into these episodes, along with a whole lot of other contestants. To me, it felt like once we got into a rhythm in these episodes, and it was just like, okay, challenge, inner circle, elimination, and like that was the cycle. Not a whole lot changed in format after the wedding.
Yeah, it definitely just kept it moving through these episodes. I feel like people kind of, got it down. They stopped being as dramatic, though, they strayed from the format a couple times here and there, especially on the women's team. But I would say, some of our stars of part 1 really disappeared in this part.
Yeah, I mean, let's just close the story on Puck if that's good with you from the jump here,
Perfect.
because
Please.
I mean, he is going to end up going in episode 8, I believe, not episode 7. Or actually, is it episode 9?
It's the beginning of 9.
Beginning of episode 9. So he is he just got married. Betty and Bogart were there, of course, Betty especially, as she was part of the wedding, one half of the wedding couple. And they're not at all in episode 7. They show back up in episode 8 to remind us that they're still here, but they end up leaving. Puck says goodbye. They're just oh so in love. And the next thing we know, at the beginning of episode 9, Puck is gone and has left a disaster behind.
Yeah, my recollection of this was Puck gets married and is just like, bye, I'm leaving, which I guess did happen for his honeymoon, but he came back and I forgot that part. No, it is that Betty is not a US citizen and forgot to bring her green card. Then Puck finds this out. She's being held by immigration just for a couple days, but Puck, despite not being really in episode 7 and 8, just immediately episode 9, stop filming me. I'm not doing the show anymore. I'm getting out of here. Loads up in the truck and goodbye, Puck.
Goodbye, Puck. The energy towards Puck all season has been very noticeably, as we've been talking about, so weird from all of these people. It's just been this feud of, first it was Puck versus David. David sends himself home, and then Puck versus Ellen, who is truly the main character of this season. So much to talk about when it comes to Ellen for this entire batch and probably more. But the Puck and Ellen feud, is going on, and even all the way up until his exit. Ellen has a comment, just something along the lines of like, "Bye, Puck. See you never. See you later. Whatever." Yep. So, we know how she feels about it, but everybody else that is not Ellen, maybe Tanya as well, some of the women, specifically all of the guys, most of the guys, 90% of the guys are just paying tribute to Puck, and they're sad to see their nightly entertainment go, even if it means they get more sleep. I will never understand what that camaraderie was, besides just like toxic masculinity combined.
Yeah, I mean, when they are doing an elimination after Puck is gone, they're like, all right, we just want to take a moment to respect Puck and pay tribute to Puck. All right, guy who's going home, goodbye. Like, oh, like really overshadowing by the man who chose to leave and did apparently walk around with a machete, punching holes in walls, etc. before
The
he went.
damage to that room was insane. He like we see him holding the machete in his hand at one point, and we're like, where the fuck did that machete come from? But yeah, and then the camera shows all these different holes in the wall in the room that he just was tearing up the room, going on a rampage after finding out that Betty wasn't able to make it back home. And so yeah, obviously, again, that's why Puck leaves, and he's going to go meet up with Betty and his son and figure all that out. But all that I care about is he's gone and never to be seen again on the challenge.
Woo!
So that was quite
Yeah,
a chapter.
that is Puck. Obviously, a major, major part of this season, but only really that first third.
Yeah. The only other thing that I have of Puck in the first couple episodes was his, or these episodes was him doing a foot rub on Colin because Colin, of course, has had a foot injury and he was taking energy from the sun to rub into Colin's foot. And
Was it
Puck,
Puck? I thought it was Eric.
Um, oh, was it? No, I think Puck was there. Or Puck was. I thought Puck was doing it because Colin said that Eric had his thumb in Colin's ass, which I
Oh,
presume was a joke.
solid.
Maybe it was a dual effort, but either way,
Look, one on each foot.
one on each foot and one thumb up. Anyway.
Okay.
I don't know. He said it. So that's that. Let's circle back though to the beginning of this batch of episodes, episode 7. Were you just as alarmed as I was with the warning we got at the top of the episode?
I was a little concerned. We get a warning that's like, these are done by professionals. And it's like, no, they're not. These are not done by professionals. These are random people that you plucked to live in a house. We are told that this is very dangerous and don't do this at home. A little concerning.
Yeah, it was giving like that they bungee jumped without a cord is like what I was guessing what had happened in this episode. They made it sound like the craziest thing was going on in this episode and don't try this at home. And the mission ends up being, it's called 7 Rings of Saturn. We're still sponsored by Saturn here, back-to-back seasons. And the challenge is just that they have 5 Saturns driving in like a circle. However, that was mechanically set up. And it was just one of those challenges where you have to climb out of the car and then climb on top of the car and then jump to the next car, collect rings, put the rings on the pole or whatever the case was. So insignificant to what I was expecting to have happened there. So I was just blown away by the massive warning at the top of the episode.
Yeah, you have a couple people fall, like Dan, I believe, falls and gets himself DQ'd by like falling on his face in front of a car. But no one gets too badly hurt outside of, I think, like Tanya sprains her ankle again. But...
Yes. A lot of ankle injuries. So that's tough.
Yeah.
But yeah, a couple of DQs, make this, make the results a little bit noteworthy here. It ends up being Theo and Puck that got the win here. They gave the lifesaver in this episode to Colin. That's not really the most significant, but I also wanted to just mention the lifesaver in general. All over the damn place with this thing. Sometimes it matters, sometimes it doesn't. Sometimes we're giving it to people that aren't on the challenge. It's my sister back at home who's not doing well. I'm going to give it to myself, but I'm not going to use it. This has no structure.
Yeah, the one time that it almost does, they squash that immediately. So look, it is still being ironed out. They really can't figure out what they want to do with it, but it'll fix itself later, I think.
Yeah, we'll talk about Blair more when it's time to say goodbye to him, I guess. But when he gets handed the lifesaver and then essentially says, "I'm not going to use it. I'm still going to go home because I know it's my time." And then with Eric is having a rough time. He's getting some news from back home that his sister is sick. She's got a bad fever. She's in the hospital. And so he wins the lifesaver in that round. And he says that he's giving the lifesaver essentially metaphorical sense, and so nobody gets it, and no game mechanics stop that from being allowed. So
yeah, it is what it is. But even before this 7 Rings of Saturn challenge, there is drama where you have to team up and everyone had to sign up on the board who they're teaming up with, and all of the women team up, leaving only one person uninformed, Amaya. She sleeps through everything and finds out when she gets up the only person left is Veronica that she could team up with. And I thought this was going to be an issue because Veronica and Amaya were talking about clotheslining each other on the last season of the challenge that they were on. But yet it's just, oh no, me and Veronica already teamed up, so we can't do it again.
Right. That's a rule that was set early on in the show. And I don't know, I forgot about it until now. And they remind us that that's the case. So, okay, it's truly just down to the rules. It's nothing about personalities, but they have to change things up because as a team, the women have to, have correct and allowed teams to go compete. But yeah, this causes a lot of drama. And this is going to be a theme for the women's team throughout the entire season that we've seen up until this point. Whether it just comes down to the eliminations or not, I mean, that is a big factor in all of this. The men's eliminations are so straightforward because all the way through, they're just eliminating the person at the top of at the bottom of the leaderboard. And the women's side of things, they're not doing that consistently. And we'll get into details of, where they go with their decisions along the way. But besides just those decisions, there is plenty of drama within the team. And I don't know if there's just less drama on the men's side or they're really highlighting it on the women's side to further the women are such drama, like we were trying to not be drama, but there's so we can't avoid it, there's drama everywhere, that they really do show us within the edit here. And so it certainly starts or continues, I guess, with what you're talking about here with this partnership. And this person doesn't like this person, and Rachel's mad at Ellen, and Ellen's mad at Rachel, and Veronica and Amaya, and Veronica later and Emily, and just a lot of different back and forth feuds that you're not sure when they're going to get resolved, and a lot of them eventually do, by these eliminations.
Yeah, I mean, you have, Ellen saying, okay, like, fine, I'll fall on the sword. But wait, why is no one else falling on the sword? And then Rachel's calling Ellen a drama queen. And Ellen's like, well, now I don't want to do it anymore. So it does go back and forth a little bit, resulting in Tanya and Rachel splitting up and pairing up with Veronica and Amaya for the challenge, which does end up putting Tanya in a little bit of risk because Amaya is not wanting to be there. I mean, like, she's having fun, but she also knows she's got to go home at a certain point.
Yeah, she is willing to essentially go when it feels like her time is coming, and that's kind of the thing that seems to happen from time to time in these early seasons, that it's not the same drive to be a challenge champion that you're going to see years and years later. It's like, all right, this was a fun field trip for all of us, got to hang out with some friends, meet some people, but when it's my time to go, it's my time to go. Especially a little injury pops in or a big injury pops up, and that causes them to want to go as well. But yeah, so I mean, the first eliminations that we're going to get in this round, talking about any of these men's eliminations is going to be so lackluster because there is no drama whatsoever. But the women's, again, there is a lot more to talk about. So for this first one, it's going to be Amaya that goes home. Also very consistent inner circles. They barely change. It's like Colin, Jamie, and Mark on the men's side almost every single episode, if not actually every episode. And then on the women's side, it's Ruthie and Ellen in the inner circle every single time, and then interchange. Usually Emily, sometimes like a Veronica, sometimes a Melissa. Just it depends on the episode.
Yeah, exactly. It's the structure makes it difficult for people to jump and climb, especially if you're getting DQ'd or choosing to sit out of missions. So that does become tough, but we've decided we're going to respect Amaya's wishes, send her home, even though I believe Tanya is at the bottom herself.
Right. Amaya never to be seen again.
Yep. That is, Amaya, fun time on the challenge. I think made a big mark in her first season, but she was fine here.
Yeah, not as much this season as the first time around. I mean, she quite literally, let me double check, right? She was on the season's Mount Rushmore. She didn't make it to the all-time Mount Rushmore. And I would say my best guess is that doesn't change this time around. But this time, the difference being she's probably not making the season's Mount Rushmore.
Yeah.
Just a quieter edit, and a lot of talk about her situation back home with a family member, I believe, in the hospital, and so she didn't really have her head all the way in it the whole way through. But a shorter showing for her this season, and she's out, as well as Yes, who for another season in a row is not going to make it too deep into the game, and no more Yes until All Stars.
I know, I'm so sad. It's funny because Yes talks about how he was hesitant to come back. He had a really negative experience on the last challenge, going out first undeservedly in his opinion. But this was the exact opposite experience. He loved this time. But if he loved it so much, why didn't we come back?
Right. I don't know. I guess there's just like, of course, you can wonder, did they stop calling him? There's so many spots, it seems like this early on. They're not pulling from any CBS shows yet, any international shows. It's just the real world and the road rules. So, of course, we're going to see a lot of standouts that do come back over the next couple of seasons and people that maybe didn't make as much of an impression because, I mean, I think you know better than I do. At this point in time, like they're still cranking out real world and road rule seasons, and there's still plenty of people that they haven't gotten
Yeah.
on from seasons that have already filmed that they would probably like to.
Yeah, for sure. No, there's limited spots, and you got to keep bringing back Beth to get voted out first. So it is tough
Exactly.
to find spots for everybody, especially when Yes is pretty mild mannered
Right.
comparatively. Fun, though. More fun than I expected, I will say.
Yeah. So with those two gone, we get into the next episode. A lot of heat coming onto one Rachel Robinson throughout this time frame, and this is going to end up being her elimination episode.
Yeah, Rachel is openly talking about how there's a number of people in here who have either made it very clear already or will be making it clear that they want to go home at some point and already know that. So they should volunteer now as to not send someone home who really wants to be here, which is taken to be, oh my God, Rachel's so negative. She won't stop complaining.
Yeah, Rachel, not making a ton of friends early on, truly ends up getting sent home because of what I can only chalk up to a bad social game. And it's not with everybody. When she ends up getting told she's eliminated, oh, it's quite the fireworks on the way out from her and I guess a couple of people around her that were in her corner. But just with the people that are constantly in power here, this inner circle that ends up taking her out, again, the same three that it normally is. Ruthie, Ellen, and Emily, they were just like discussing. So who should we send home this time? You know, Tanya's been at the bottom, Anissa's, I think, actually at the bottom, but she's got all this spirit, team spirit, and Christina, maybe she, could be a name. But when they get to mentioning Rachel, all three of them are like, oh, that's an option for me. That's an option for that's an option for me. We could send Rachel home.
Which is so funny because once they finally do send Rachel home, Ellen's like, I've been manipulated. Like, I can't believe we did this. And I think Ruthie agrees. But I remember 2 episodes ago, Ellen being like, can we please send Rachel home? I hate her.
It was a lot of drama that comes out of this one, not just from Rachel being upset about it and not wanting to talk to the people that made the decision, but then specifically Emily, I believe, right, is the one that just ends up not taking much of the heat because she kind of disappears from the scene. So you have Ruthie and Ellen kind of catching all the heat from everybody about what just happened. And Ayana is coming to Ellen because there's another partner mission coming up soon. And Ayana and Ellen were supposed to be partners. And Ayana's like, I can't be your partner anymore. Like, you guys just like went beyond the confines of what the game has been for us to this point. And now we're making moves that are personal and the wrong decisions. And it's getting wild out there.
Yes, very, very wild. It is super interesting to see Emily have this turn where, last season we had her versus Chadwick and Holly. And I think most people viewed Chadwick and Holly as the villains there. And I think recontextualizing it with what we know of Emily here is certainly interesting because I think Emily is very actively playing this game in a way that I'm excited about, but I don't think most people would be.
Very much so. Emily, like, really, she knew that she was going to end up on the Mount Rushmore, someday through, the couple of seasons that she'd already been on to this point. And she said, I don't know how long I'll be around, but I'm really going to make my mark and make sure that you all are paying attention to me. She's playing the game. She's got this relationship in the house that we'll get to everything with her and James and how that is playing out over these couple of episodes. But just a really big factor in a lot of decisions made and, being presented basically as the villain here that manipulated poor Ruthie and Ellen into making this decision again, even though all of them were on the same page about it. But a
Yeah.
pretty again, wild way for Rachel to be going out here.
I will say I tried looking up like some more details on Emily and James, knowing that we probably won't get them on the show. Like, what is the timeline here? How did things go? And in doing so, I did discover at least a rumor that Emily was motivated to send Rachel home because Rachel and James were getting close. So I guess she got jealous, which she admits to getting jealous multiple times in this stretch of episodes, usually over Veronica or other people. But maybe Rachel was the first victim of that here.
Definitely could have been. And that is funny, how that's played out. Rachel and Veronica both primarily dating women over the rest
Yep.
of their lives and careers on the
Yep.
show. But those are the two women that are making Emily the most, I guess, insecure within her relationship. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff with Emily and James, and a lot of it pertaining to that part of the conversation of being unsure about how like she feels about James being around Veronica. Ayana specifically says that apparently James helped Veronica move into her new apartment, and there was rumors that they might have hooked up at some point during all of that. I don't.
Feels like
Nothing's
more than rumors.
was it though? Like I was like I couldn't tell myself if it seemed like confirmed or if Ayana was just being messy.
I felt like the way that it was presented was like, so he did help her move and then they did hook up. Like it was very much said with her chest.
Yeah.
So maybe not. But look, things have gotten messy. Rachel on her way out delivers one of the more iconic lines from the challenge, I think, ever, where she says, "The game is ugly. The inner circle is ugly." She is very much distraught to be leaving here.
Yeah, she's like, "Where is Johnny Bananas? Where are the angels? Need my friends here to help me through here. Need a karma vote." But very interesting to see our latest challenge champion, as far as the flagship of the show is concerned, in her first season, seeing the origins of Rachel and Veronica coming together here as the Mean Girls. Like,
Wild.
we're not all in on the Mean Girls yet. Tina's not here yet. But just like the seeds are being planted for sure as to what the story will become for them.
Well, they're not even presented as friends here, really. It's just
There was like one small line about it, like Rachel being Veronica's girl.
Okay. Because I was gonna say they're really presented as like each their own villain in their own right. Like you get one boss before you have to take down the next. So I have very much enjoyed getting to see the origins, even if I'm still not like coming away a Rachel fan all of a sudden.
Yeah. So there's definitely storyline, and of course, Rachel will be a consistent part of the show going forward. On and off. Actually, let me double check. What did I write down for what Rachel has going on next? She's back next season, and I think 3 of the next 5 seasons, before being a little bit more sporadic throughout the rest of the series. So, she made her mark here and will continue to do so.
Yeah, we're about to get a lot more Rachel and Veronica.
Mm-hmm. I mean, Veronica is on like all the seasons right now,
6.
which I'm not upset about. What'd you think of the challenge of this episode? Freeze your butt off.
I liked it. I like silly little challenges like this. I wish they would do these more now. I think that if they were doing it now, the train would move that they were sitting on in like a circle. But they would get dizzy and yada yada. But I thought it was fun for anyone that did not watch. They had to sit in basically like a little roller coaster, like a mock-up roller coaster, with their butts on a piece of ice and their feet on a piece of ice. Now everyone had to wear Speedos so that the amount of skin was equal touching for everyone. And for me, this is silly. It's fun. I like it.
It was adorable. I mean, adorable in the sense that I wasn't experiencing the pain of like, can you only imagine, like we saw the ice challenge last season. You have to keep your hand on it and then you have to add another hand and then a foot or whatever. And I'm like, okay, that's painful enough. But like, for some reason, the concept of like having my whole butt planted on this block of ice just felt horrible. We see, like, of course, at some point, a medic is going to get involved because Melissa specifically is not looking good. She's turning purple. The medic comes over and is basically like, you need to get out of this challenge right now. Because I think you might have said this, but the whole time while they're in this roller coaster ice block seat, they have to keep their arms up in the air. They can't have their arms touching. Their hands can't be touching one another, and they can't like lower below I guess their breast level essentially. So it's an endurance challenge from the arms and an endurance challenge from the ice. So it's definitely a worthwhile competition, but a brutal one, like absolutely brutal. And they lasted for hours.
Oh my God, as someone who has held their hand above their head for hours, it's not fun. It's really not fun, let alone sitting on ice, having to do both hands. That is miserable. I was so impressed with really everyone, but especially 90% of the women outlast every single man on this. So many of the men get disqualified for either getting distracted or putting their arms too low or whatever the case may be. And the fact that we had like 3 women going over 3 hours was crazy. Ellen, Ayana, and Emily all over 3 hours.
Yeah, Ayana went down at like 3 hours and 9 minutes, and she said that that was even just a strategic move because her and Ellen were going to be partners in the next mission, so she wanted to keep their health in good condition. So Ellen ends up winning, and yeah, another loss for the men. It was insane. At one point, the final man was Eric, who all the guys are like, "Come on, you can do it." No, he can't. He's not winning out over like the remaining 9 women that were still out on an ice block. So a very good showing from the women there. Also, unfortunately, I have to mention his name one more time here, just because Puck did have a notable exit, as he was told that during the challenge he would be allowed to eat popcorn. Where he got the popcorn, I don't want to know, but he had popcorn. He was like throwing it up in the air to be able to catch it in his mouth because he couldn't lower his arms to eat it. This man, if you haven't gotten the sense at this point, interesting man. And so he eventually goes to start picking the popcorn out of his teeth, and that is how he's eliminated, and of course doesn't take it well. So
yeah, there's like a rule that you can't touch any other part of your body, I think, with your hands because they don't want you using it as support. So when Dan starts clapping along to someone rapping, he gets eliminated. When Puck touches his teeth to pick a popcorn kernel, he gets eliminated. It is like very silly rules, but I get why they're there.
yep. And this is going to end up sending Dan home. In addition to Rachel, we already talked about Rachel is out in this episode, but on the bottom of the leaderboard for the men is going to be Dan. I guess notably, we can say that Theo jumped into the inner circle this episode. So Colin and Mark, I guess Jamie made some space for Theo to join there, but doesn't make a difference who's in the inner circle because they do the same thing every time. Dan is out, but not for long.
No, not for long at all. We find out when Puck goes home for the first time ever, right? We are going to bring back the most recently eliminated challenger. Dan is going to take Puck's place, and I'm sure he'll have a super successful run for the rest of the season.
Yeah, he'll make it all the way to the final, and there's no chance that he will just go out in the following. And actually, no, the very same episode that he is brought back. That would be insane. So no, but that's
you
what
get
happened.
one confessional. Like it was just like, oh, and Dan's back and he's gone. He's like, I'm so glad I came back. Like, okay, Dan.
Yep. Look, he made a comment when he shows back up that he's like, I hope everyone in life has the opportunity to step through a curtain and have all of their friends on the other side applauding them. That looked like it must have been a great feeling because everyone was pumped to see him. Like this isn't, when Susie showed up as a replacement for Ayana, it's like, oh, new person, like let's get to know you. This was like they just spent all this time with Dan and they were so happy to see him back, especially the women. So he was back and then he was not. So yeah, they play a challenge in this episode called People Mover, which if you know me, that's a pretty fun title of an episode, or sorry, of a mission. Shout out to the Disney people. But this challenge I did not follow. I understood the concept that this was like a puzzle they needed to figure out, moving the pieces around, but like whatever it was that they did to get the puzzle correct, I just took them for what the results I was given and didn't try to understand it all the way. Did you know what was going on?
Yeah, there were just like little dots on the ground, like a game board, and you could only move things like to a spot that it was next to, and you could only move one at a time. But basically, you had to get all of like the pieces that were coded to be your same gender to like the opposite place of where they started, being the inner circle or the outer circle. And it really was just like, all right, move all the ones closest to this part of the outer circle to the outer circle, move all the ones closest to this part of the outer circle to the outer circle. Like it was just 4 mini puzzles and it wasn't very difficult.
Yeah. The team of Ayana and Ellen end up doing it very well, very fast. I think their time was 2:42. And they were one of the earlier teams to go and nobody was able to pass them. And so it was just pretty
amazing to me how many people saw the puzzle and then went inside, didn't strategize for it at all. Just were like, we'll figure it out when we get there.
There was one team that specifically like seemed like they completely had it solved, but then just didn't
Yep.
move the pieces right. Yeah, or maybe a couple of them. So
I
very,
think
very
even
strange.
Jake was like, "Oh yeah, my partner's moving the pieces, and then I'm moving them back." Like, why are you moving them back? Like, what are you doing?
Right. Also notable, one of the pairs in this episode was Dan and Blair.
Yes. Oh, true.
I don't know. Felt like a fun pairing of
I'm
two
shipping.
names. So shout out to the Gossip Girlies out there. But the women ended up winning the ski and snowboard package. And again, Ellen and Ayana were the winners. And by the way, if we didn't bridge the gap between stories very well, I don't think we did. After Ayana had said to Ellen that she wasn't going to want to be her partner from all of the drama in the Rachel elimination, they end up coming around. I think most people cool off with being upset with Ellen and Ruthie after all of that, and the heat really is all the way on Emily at this point. So
It's so funny to me because, as I mentioned before, Ellen, like 2 episodes ago, was like, Rachel's so rude. She's bad for team morale. And then they send Rachel home and she's like, I didn't want to do that. Why did we make me do that? Now I'm mad at Emily. It's like Ellen always has some target for her ire, and it's very iconic.
very much so. So that is that. Again, Dan is going to go right back out the door here as the men are all there in their speedos. Not Jamie, Johnny Mosley calls it a Chippendale inner circle. So that was what was going on there. They give that toast to Puck, as we mentioned a little bit earlier, and Dan is gone again. But the women's side, again, as every elimination, a little bit more interesting this time, or in comparison to the men's. This is going to be the elimination episode, the final episode of this season for one Anissa.
And let me say, after being in the background for quite some time, she does have a moment here for sure. We find out, I don't know if it was actually off camera or they just chose not to show it to us. She went to Ruthie and is like, hey, a bunch of us want Emily gone. Why don't we purposefully have whoever is paired up with Emily throw the challenge so that we can get her out of the inner circle and eliminate her? But Ruthie, as much as I don't think she's the biggest Emily fan either, is much more of a honesty and integrity girly at this point.
Very much so. That seems to be the case for a good amount of challengers in these early days. That the Emily type of gameplay, or Anissa, of course, being brought into the same conversation as well, of like, let's do something a little like sneaky, underhanded, and get farther in the game and get the goals of what we want in the game done that way. For the people that are the good people that want to play so with so much honor and integrity, as if that doesn't exist still today, but you know what I mean. The idea that Anissa has here, I'm like, this is Anissa still today. Like, this is still the same person that is competing on the challenge all these years later, that is, she just came up with the ideas early, or I don't know if she came up with this completely, like, she's not the first person to ever think of an idea of how you can tank somebody else's game type of thing. But as far as like this challenge world is concerned, it's not something we're hearing a lot so far. Just playing a little dirty along the way, and not saying that derogatorily. It's
Oh,
just
please.
different
I was
gameplay.
like,
Yeah.
is this my favorite Anissa episode? It might be something I track for a while because, she has her ups and downs on the challenge. I wasn't always frustrated with Anissa. And so I am excited to see at what points I am pro Anissa, at what points I am a little tired of it. So right now, this is our best episode yet.
It's definitely going to be a contender even all the way through. But they're talking about Veronica as well as somebody that they could send home. The Emily and Veronica back and forth is going to go on for a couple of episodes before it does eventually get there's an end to it. But so who are they going to send home? Anissa was at the bottom of the leaderboard pretty conveniently. So aside from she was playing dirty and like this information came up, it's a pretty easy excuse. And Anissa, couldn't have not been expecting that it's a possibility. So she didn't seem upset. She goes in for a hug with Ruthie, whoever else. And just interesting. I feel like we saw Anissa and Ruthie back together on All Stars. So in a long time, if we get to All Star season 1 in our rewatch, let's try to remember these moments of the first time that Ruthie had a big hand in sending Anissa packing. It was quite interesting.
It's true.
So
it's very, very true.
So that is that. Anissa says that, Emily can rest easy now because, Anissa is gone from the game. So Emily won't have any obstacles in her
Well,
way.
it's so
Anissa,
funny.
yeah.
Even when it's said like Emily, Anissa's coming for you, she's targeting you. She's like, I'm not threatened by Anissa. Let's get Veronica out. Like, we'll deal with Anissa later.
Yeah. And Ruthie's like, and I don't think Anissa's evil. She just, wanted to win. I'm like, I'm glad you understand that, Ruthie.
So kind.
So kind. Next episode is a weird one, specifically because of the challenge that we're going to get, and more Emily and James drama that comes from all of this. Where the hell do we begin with this challenge, Battle of the Opposite Sexes?
All right, so we got a challenge. It is just like a game show little format in which they will be answering questions about, generally just people of the opposite gender, of like facts, is something that maybe like a woman would know, but a man might not. Then maybe the men have to answer that. So they just like announce that they're going to be doing that type of challenge with the twist of if you answer a question incorrectly, you have to remove an article of clothing.
Yes, and you were only permitted to wear to the challenge, I think, four total like garments essentially. So, like, if you were wearing shorts and a shirt, I think you could only have on like socks and shoes type of thing.
I guess so.
Basically, like I don't know how that worked. I guess like for the men, I think some of the men were shirtless, so like they were able to have like shorts and their underwear on. The point of this challenge, very obviously, is to get everyone naked. Imagine this challenge today. Let me just.
I mean, it lasted until like the 20s where there were naked challenges, I feel like. So I would be shocked today, but it's gonna stick around.
Yes, for sure. It's just like knowing where we are in as a society today. It's just insane that it even lasted that long. But even to see it this early, of like your place in the game, your spot on the leaderboard is going to end up being dependent on if you're willing to get naked in front of the cameras. Not even just your fellow people around here, which is already a thing in itself, but if you are willing to, in front of a camera, completely, derobe. And so what ends up happening here is kind of as you'd expect. A lot of people are not down with this. Specifically, a lot of the women are not down with this challenge. Anne is one of the more vocal ones. Christina agrees that she doesn't want to participate. And they end up having an entire golf cart full of women sent back to the villas that they called them, subtitled on the screen, Club Zero, the women that protested the challenge, that did not want to be a part of this. They said, we don't take off our clothes. We don't have to get naked. And so they're going to go back. But there are still some people that competed, and drama that comes from all of this.
Yeah. Well, because they say Anne had like a moral objection to this, and then there's like going through the reasons. Emily was conflicted with her boyfriend, is like, well, these are the reasons that we're being told by other women on the show.
Mhm.
That Tanya's having issues with her boyfriend, and so she doesn't want to participate here. And so it's ultimately Anne, Tanya, Emily, Christina, Ayana, who do not participate, all getting zeros, where you have other women like Genesis, who's like, yeah, I don't want to get naked, so if I don't know an answer, I'm just not going to answer it, but I'm still going to stand there.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, Lori was like, the point of this is to be smart and get questions right, so you keep your clothes on. So I'm gonna play. That's by the
Yeah.
way, one Lori mention of the podcast. See if she comes up again. But yeah, and the Emily and James drama is again a big highlight of this because Emily is not wanting to participate, and James is going to stand by her side and say, we'll both sit out of this. But then let's remember James from 2 seasons ago, the man who wants to win a challenge or wants to win these games more than he wants to breathe air when he wakes up in the morning. And so when he realizes, if I don't compete today, I am pretty much a lock to be at the bottom of the leaderboard and then go home, which, by all accounts also means he separates from Emily and leaves her behind while he is on his way home. Says, actually, I will have to compete. I'm going to compete today.
Yeah, he realizes very quickly, if I do not compete, I am giving up the whole show, not just this one challenge. And I think that that is too much for him to give up. I think that I could see him having given up just one challenge if it was not the same elimination structure that the men were choosing to follow. But yeah, definitely some drama. Does get over it pretty quickly after there, though.
Yeah, they were not in a great place at first when Emily gets back, or I guess James gets back after the challenge. Emily's like miserable. She's like, I'm here with my boyfriend. We're in Jamaica. It's supposed to be beautiful and great, great experience. But she basically compares him to a dog and says he has to like go fetch the stick when it's thrown. She says like any other man does. He's just so programmed to compete and be competitive. And
Yeah, that
so
was so weird.
yeah.
Where men can't help it. It's not his fault. It's like, okay, Emily.
Yeah. But like you said, they get over it very fast, or at least Emily does. And she understands that James needed to participate in order to, have a chance to stay. The challenge itself, though, ends up coming down to a battle of the wits between Jake and Ellen, with Jake ultimately winning the day. The men had a strategy where, first of all, plenty of people did get naked. Lots of clothes came off.
Yeah, I think it was Jake, Blair, and Shane highlighted as
Yes.
the nude boys.
And I think Antoine as well
Did
also
he?
ended up naked at one point. And so they're all realizing, okay, well, we're not doing well, but Jake is getting a lot of these answers correct, and he's already naked. So let's let him keep answering for all of us, versus Ellen, who I mean, Ellen, this freaking triple threat, dominating
She's so good.
every type of competition. Like, is she like in consideration for one of the best? I mean, let's see how the rest of the season goes, but like one of the most well-rounded challengers we've ever seen.
No, real, because what happens is Ellen is getting a ton of questions right because she has, like, in part because she has less women to compete against than the men do because so many women sat out. And so Ellen is getting just tons and tons of questions right. So that's why the men decide, okay, we're going to let Jake answer them so that we can win the mission of the day, even though that means many of them will end up with very low scores, knowing that that could send them home. And that's why Jake beats Ellen, but still very narrowly.
Still very narrowly, and he still goes home in this episode.
Yeah, well, look, Blair says, look, I know I'm in last, so for me to suggest the strategy is, I'm the one with the most to lose. We should let Jake win. I'm going to go home. I'm falling on my sword. And I think that it was, as much as I like Blair a lot, I like Jake fine, but I think that I was happier to see Blair not get punished for the nobility and get to stick around.
I agree. It was just, I mean, this was a quit, like from Jake. This
Oh
was a
yeah.
straight up quit. I mean, like this man was naked on a bike that he just won and was like at the top of the world. After the men win, and he is awarded this bike. By the way, Johnny Mosley hosting this challenge alongside a woman named Tiffany, I guess presented as this Vanna White, type of co-host to Johnny Mosley here. And of course, all the guys are like making noises at Tiffany here. But so then they present the bike to Jake, and again, fully nude. The women are like, some of them are like, hands over their eyes so that they can't see what's going on. I'm like, this is all somewhat funny. And so
Yeah.
next thing we know, Jake is like, actually, great bike. Thanks for my clothes back, but I'm out of here.
He says he's like, I've been home longer than I've been away from home longer than I want to be. So time for me to go. Thanks for sending me home. Okay.
Yep. No Jake ever again.
Yeah. Like I said, Jake goes on to be extremely successful. Don't think he's missing that $50,000.
Definitely don't think so. And then on the women's side of things, this is going to be where we finally, I guess, you can say, lose Tanya.
Yeah, Tanya makes it a point where she says the women are not being fair in their eliminations, and we have to start being fair. Kind of also a quit from Tanya. Send me home. It's the only fair thing to do.
Yeah. At this point, she's kind of been hinting to people for a couple of episodes that like she's fine with going home if that's what has to happen. And so at this point, it's like, because she's friends with Ellen, she I think is friendly with Ruthie. And so like all of her friends are in power by all means. She should not have to be eliminated here. But it does seem like she is just ready to go. And plus, she she had that injury a couple episodes ago. I don't think she's 100% healed at this point. And so the idea is with Veronica in the inner circle, there's a discussion of should we send Emily out now? Veronica, this might be your only chance to do so. But of course, understanding that there could be a lot of heat that comes on her if she ends up making that decision. She ultimately doesn't push hard for it. I don't know if Ruthie or Ellen would have been perceptive to it whatsoever, but with Tanya being down to go, we just do that.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Tanya could have stuck around for a little while, but She has her ankle injury. She has her boyfriend issues. I think Tanya's kind of over it, but nice to meet Tanya here officially. We got a lot of Tanya coming up.
We do. We have a lot of Tanya coming up. She is in she's back next season and then in 7 of the next 12 seasons.
Damn. Okay. Well, there we go. There will be lots to discuss.
Yes. Sure. Episode 11 starts off with, we kind of already touched on this, but Eric's sister isn't doing well. And this is going to be the episode that he is going to win the challenge, win the lifesaver, and dedicate the lifesaver to his sister. I don't know. Did you happen to see any updates? I would hope and assume.
I did not look.
I'd hope she's okay. I mean, it didn't sound like the most like life-threatening type of stuff, but I also have absolutely no idea.
Yeah, I'm looking up now.
Okay. So that's the story that's happening there. And the challenge in this episode is going to be, again, that Eric won Leaky River. It's basically a rope course over like a lake with the two people going at a time, one man, one woman on opposite ends. They have to kind of cross each other to get to the other side. And once they lock in their time that they get to the other side, that is how the points are determined in this one. Not a whole lot to comment on from where I'm sitting besides just telling you the results. And that's that Jamie crushes it. Jamie, who's very, very quiet in the edit, barely any confessionals, even still to this point in the season, but has been in all the inner circles almost to this point, and just doing very well competitively, which just further tracks with what we know about Jamie, that he is just a hell of a competitor his first time around. Same thing here, but still not enough to give us much of a story about him.
Yeah, look, you got some of the guys that are just consistently crushing these challenges, especially like the physical, agility ones. Jamie and Eric, I feel like, are always at the top of the board here. So not super surprising to see them continue that. But also got a couple DQs. We got Blair, who is really, we've kind of known about this story so far, but it really gets flagged up here of Blair is just at the bottom of the board. Can he survive? Can he get just enough points to climb above one person for this is the second or third week now already?
Mm-hmm. And he does. He is able to do so, where we're going to get a pretty shocking men's elimination this time around, and not because they make a decision that is outside of what we would expect them to do. They still send home the last place person, but Theo is going to go home here. Not a Theo that we know, to this day. If you're thinking that it's the same Theo, certainly not. But Theo is somehow found himself in last place, and even still, like, if I'm thinking to myself, if I was Theo, I'd be like pleading with these guys, like, look, I have been a strong competitor all season. I must have had one bad challenge, 2 bad challenges or something, but I'm still like, how many times have I been in the inner circle? Send someone else home. But he just like everybody else says, all right, it's my time. I'm out of here.
Yeah, I mean, he says he was in 4th place before this challenge. He DQs one time, drops all the way to the bottom. That is so incredibly frustrating.
Yeah, I would not have taken that as easily as he did, but he did. Do we see Theo again? Theo, actually, we didn't write that down. We do, yes, in the very next season. He'll be back once more.
All right, well, there we go. And otherwise, we do have another ankle injury. Veronica falls, gets caught by her foot, and is just dangling there in a way that looks so painful. Hurts her foot there, too.
Yeah, she is injured from that. She's plus she's got people back at the house talking about how she is such a pool of negativity. She probably kicks dogs, they say.
Crazy.
Very crazy to say that.
I'm just giggling.
Who's giggling?
I said they're all just giggling, saying it's Christina, yeah. Emily, and Anne. Just like, okay, you're all saying Veronica's a mean girl, but you're talking about how she probably kicks dogs. I don't know. I don't know how this is lining up.
Right. And with that injury, with the idea that maybe Veronica kicks dogs out there, they're talking about, her score has gone down a lot since she did not do well in that challenge. And she's in danger. She tells people she knows she's in trouble because, as she says, quote, because I'm the biggest bitch ever. Seems like she's like bonding with Lori a little bit. Ooh, two Lori mentions in one podcast here. And it's not going to end up being her time though here. The inner circle of, again, Ruthie and Ellen, but this time with Melissa, are going to send home Christina, who is at the bottom of the leaderboard and didn't make the biggest impact on this season, but had a good amount of confessionals.
Yeah, she had a couple here and there. I think Christina, like, this is someone who I did not remember from my original watching of the challenge, but she stands out enough on this watch. She's not a completely background character.
Yeah, I kind of made a list at some point of a couple of different people that kept coming up in confessional, but like we weren't getting their story. The list that I have here includes Christina, also Eric, Colin, Genesis, and Antoine, who all just pop up from time to time to like remind us that they're there. But so far, no story. Obviously, Christina's going to go here, but that's that.
Used as narrators more than having storyline.
Exactly. So yeah, a quieter episode of Eliminations with two people that weren't the most, I guess, important characters on the season, which takes us to episode 12, Stairway to Heaven. I got to say, I would love to compete in this one. I love a good climb.
Yeah, it's a whole bunch of ladders zigzagging up to the top. It's color coded, so depending on how high up you get into like which color section is the number of points you score. And I gotta say, people did very, very well on this.
Specifically, the men did very well on this.
Yes. All but Ruthie.
Ruthie did incredibly well. And I thought that Ruthie was about to win because as quickly as, we see Jamie come by in the edit, like he's not even there. When he went, I remembered that he had gone. But then at the end, I'm like, oh, Ruthie won. Oh, fuck, Jamie. Jamie's always winning.
Yeah. I mean, it literally, like, Eric had finished it in 30 seconds. Ruthie somehow beats that. But no, Jamie gets 28.
Yeah.
Nope. Okay.
Yeah. And he wins $1,000 for everybody on the men's team from Atari's Mission Impossible. I'm thinking that's a video game at the time. I know what Mission Impossible is, but I think it was,
yeah.
I think it was a video game. I don't know. Atari is a video game company, I think.
Yes.
Yeah. So yeah, but the ladders looked fun, at least for me, not quite for Melissa.
A couple of very funny confessionals in here, including from Melissa, where she is talking about how she's going to blow away on the ladder. Like, please help me. She's only 80 pounds. I can't like hold on to this when the man comes up to rescue her. And she's like, perfect. I'll grab onto you. And he's like, no, you won't. I'm not tethered in. And
but why did he climb the ladder to her? Why did he do that?
So funny. It's so funny.
There's a just straight up production man, you assume, that is climbing up the ladder to help Melissa. It's like just you like sometimes I go to like these climbing in the parks. What the hell are they called? Like what do they call it? Like adventure park type thing? Yeah, sure. That, it's like a ropes course in the trees. And those are like my shit. I love those. And so sometimes I wonder, like, because I haven't actually seen this happen in such a significant way. If somebody freezes up there, what do you do to get them down? And there's like different ways that they can like do a quick exit, but they have to be by that exit in order to do so. So maybe it's like 2 trees away or whatever the case is. But like, if someone just straight up doesn't want to get down and like needs to be rescued by like a crane of some sort, you would imagine someone will safely go up there in whatever equipment that the ownership has to get that person down and go from there safely. This person climbs up the ladder unharnessed and makes it to the top of what I assume is like a 12-foot ladder.
It was not that high.
It was
got to the 25 point section.
It was a full ladder.
Yeah, she's okay. Or he's okay. It works out. Look.
I was really concerned, especially when, like you said, she was like, do we just jump off now?
Okay, I'm gonna hold on to you.
Absolutely not.
It was so funny. We also do get Emily still on her villain arc saying that there is a bloody axe waiting for her at the top. Like, oh, okay.
Yeah, what was that about?
Yeah, fully on her villain turn. We do also get Blair does pretty well. And so it's like, oh, Blair's going to stick around again. He compares himself to herpes, which I think that was a more common comparison at the time, but says that he has staying power. If he had the same thing in bed, he would be the champion of the ladies.
Hell
okay,
yeah. Blair. Yeah, high five.
For me, it's like goofy enough that I'm not cringing.
Yeah. Being Blair's a pretty goofy guy. And
Exactly.
he won a lot of points in probably both of our books when he stood up to Puck, for Ellen. So from that point on, I was rooting for him. And we are very close to the end for him, but not right now, because he's not at the bottom. This is going to be where we say goodbye to Cyrus, who is at the bottom on the men's side. And just the same thing, bottom of the leaderboard. See you later. They comment on all of his facial jewelry that he wears, and that's his final goodbye message.
Yeah, look, Cyrus is a very strong competitor, but not all of these missions were particularly suited to him. He is one of the bigger guys on the team, so like even with the ropes bridge, like it's all bungee cords. He's being dragged down further than anyone else had to deal with on this ladder course. He gets all the way to the top, but just a little bit slower than everyone else. So unfortunately, Cyrus's time.
Yes. Cyrus, of course, will be back a couple more times, but just kind of like he's used even still today. It's just kind of like on and off. He's not back
Yep.
like next season and then, every season. Just very whenever they find a spot for him.
Yeah.
So
No, Cyrus has always, I felt like, been kind of a plus one character in my recollection, but
yeah.
we'll see.
But on the women's side of things, surprise, surprise, more intrigue is going down for this elimination because Anne is at the bottom of the leaderboard, who I will say I've noticed much more of Anne in this season than her first time around.
Hard
Uh,
not to.
Hard not to. There was nothing last time and something this time. Anne's at the bottom of the leaderboard. Ruthie and Ellen are talking about it makes sense if Anne goes, but Emily Bailey is going to make her pitch here and say, look, I'm in the inner circle here. Can I one last time make a valiant effort to convincing the people in the inner circle with me to take out the enemy that is Veronica?
Oh my God. It's Emily is so funny here because first it's like Veronica is mean to everyone. She's so mean to all the other girls. Everyone feels so uncomfortable. It's bad for team morale. And Ellen and Ruthie seemingly just forget how they felt with the Rachel elimination. Like they felt like Emily manipulated them because they start acquiescing to Emily here, really. And even when they do push back, Emily is so funny. Ruthie's like, I think we should just, straightforward eliminate the person at the bottom of the thing. It seems the most fair. And Emily's like, I love that. We should definitely do that next week after we eliminate Veronica this week. Like, it's so funny.
And Ruthie and Ellen are like, really kind of swaying with the wind here when it comes to this decision. I mean, they've made some tough calls to this point, again, having been in basically every single inner circle so far. And so they don't really know what to do at this point. A lot is made in these like last couple episodes in this batch about the women's team is just falling apart because they can't get it together, especially in the next episode. We're going to talk about a lot of like lack of leadership and just how things are really falling apart for them. And so they're kind of open to ideas on what we can do. And they're saying, well, if Emily is telling us and so many other people, I guess, who was Emily talking with? It was Christina at one point and Anne and, whoever else was talking about Veronica, that she makes them uncomfortable. They're like, well, if this could do something to help our team, if this could make team morale any better, then let's do it. And Emily announces it. Veronica, it's time for you to go. I'm sorry. But that's not where this ends. It gets even
No.
crazier after that gets announced.
It's so funny because everyone is shocked. Everyone is so shocked Veronica's going home. The men's team is like literally booing. They're so upset. Jamie stands up. It's like, well, I was going to give this to Blair, but now, Veronica, you're safe. Everyone's cheering. Veronica's safe until freaking Johnny Mosley steps in here and says, that's not the rules. You can't change who you're going to save.
Melissa Howard also jumped in, no, with like the rule book essentially. Like, I don't know where they got it from, but basically talking about how the lifesaver has to be given before the elimination decision. And so it had already been given to Blair. So the decision couldn't be reversed. And it was James that had it, or no, Jamie that had it. And he wanted to give it to Veronica at the last second. So I'm sitting there like clapping, applauding, like, oh, Veronica is saved. I love this. And then very quickly, just completely that is put out and any excitement is put
Yeah.
out. And Veronica is in fact going to go home here.
And everyone is very upset. It's so funny when then, well, because first we get Shane standing up, and everyone's like, Shane, 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 don't. Yeah, I respect your decision, but frankly, it's garbage. Like this, you all have been losing, and now I see why. You're sending home all your top competitors. Julie, Veronica, Rachel, others did not deserve to go home. Why are you doing this? It was drama for sure.
Let me like bring us all back to the world of the Challenge All Stars 5. Veronica and Shane, in modern times are still competing on challenges together. And, Shane, can I trust you, Veronica? Because you have Frank in your corner. Only a couple of months ago, we were having these podcasts talking about all of that. And now here we are just seeing the origins of like Shane and Veronica had some sort of very good friendship early on, to the point where Shane has been quiet. Shane has been blending in with the team and competing pretty well. But here is when he steps in and puts himself out there to the point to defend how much defend Veronica and say how much he's against this decision. So just like with where we are today, it was really fun to see all the way back at the beginning of their story together.
Yeah, I mean, Shane coming in with Lavender Ladies 1.0, like that's not shocking to me personally. Before there were the Lavender Ladies, there were the Mean Girls. So
Mm-hmm.
I do remember Shane having pretty decent friendships with all of them. Very fun to jump in. Now, what's also very fun is seeing when Ellen is like, Emily, no one's happy with our decision. Emily's like, I don't care. I don't make decisions for the people to be happy. And she's like, well, that was kind of your whole argument, was that everyone would be really happy if we did this. So now I'm confused why we did this.
Yeah. And yet again, we're looking at a situation where Emily may have made the decision, but still seems like Ellen's taking some of the heat for it. Veronica's talking to Ellen, and she's like, not like turning her away for conversation, but she's like, I know, like basically kind of saying, like, I know you had no backbone in that. Like, you just went along with what Emily wanted. And sure, I'll give you a hug on the way out, but like, we're not best friends.
Yeah, which I mean, Ruthie and Ellen had also acknowledged they're not particularly close friends with Veronica, but they have this rule of what happens in the inner circle stays in the inner circle. And so Emily keeps railroading them into these decisions, and they don't defend themselves because they have this arbitrary rule.
Yeah. Yeah. Who would you have known? Would you have ever thought, back when you couldn't tell Emily apart from and Michelle, that Emily was going to become like that girl on the show?
Not for a second.
Yeah.
Honestly, I am like, is Emily my all-time favorite challenger? No, but like much higher than I thought she would be.
Yeah, very much so. So we'll talk about if Emily has any danger of anyone coming for her on the Mount Rushmore this
I,
season, or
I
when that would
believe
happen.
where is this from? From like decider.com a number of years, 8 years ago. So this is still like, a ways from the airing of this show, Emily's last season, but not that close to it either. Emily Bailey named the greatest villain ever on the challenge.
Oh
So
wow.
the staying power is real.
Very much so. So that is that's what Emily's up to. Still a little bit more to go with Emily here in this season, though. Veronica, not so much. She's packing her bags, heading out. Melissa's going to help her get her bags in the car. Melissa makes a comment about how they're like the girls who smoked in the bathroom in high school, which is like really funny to bring us really like full circle on this like Mean Girl story for Veronica as it's developing. Veronica is gone as we get to the last episode of this batch, episode 13. And we're going to play some laser tag that brings a lot of drama that usually happens when you and your friends go play laser tag.
I haven't played laser tag in so long, and we have been discussing trying to do it, and it has not happened, but this looked very fun.
Yeah. And I mean, just knowing how competitive you are, it might have ended the same way.
Very much so. I would have been throwing a fit.
Yes. So they're really, the women specifically are really trying to come up with a plan. What do? We need a leader, but we don't want to piss anybody off. Ruthie and Ellen thinking that, even though they've been at the top, people have been constantly coming at them for decisions that they've made. So we don't know what to do. But luckily, there's another person on the women's team here that could help with a challenge like this. Did you know this about Ayana, that she is like a notorious laser tag aficionado?
Who knew? Even the men are like, Ayana's really good at this. We have to get her out immediately. Ayana, I don't know if she's just talking about laser tag all the time and then they decided to do a challenge, what it is, but apparently she is very well known for her prowess in laser tag.
Yeah. So her alongside like Ruthie and Ellen are going to be the main targets of the men in this. They say if we can get out, the stronger competitors, we're going to be good. We're playing for, DVD player, VCR player, CD player, like all of the high tech, equipment. This is an important challenge we need to win. Plus, continuing the momentum that they've had in the past couple of challenges. And they do exactly that. They just completely kick the every single ass of every single
Yeah.
woman.
Look, Ayana tries. She's like, guys, we need to have a strategy. And the women are like, how about we all run at the same time and just hope for the best? Whereas the men are full Saving Private Ryan. They are like coming up with tactical warfare strategies. They just plant behind multiple barricades and wait for the women to run past and then shoot them in the back as they do. It was very well executed after the first round. No woman has more than 2 lives of their 5 left. Multiple of them are out, and almost every man has 5 lives.
Also one of the worst challenges to show on a television episode. This was a disaster. Like
Yeah, it
they
was
were
not fun.
trying to show us like graphics on the screen that's like this person has this many lives, this person's out, this person's out. It just happened so fast that I was like, you may as well have just told me the results.
Yeah, exactly.
So
It was just like, oop, and bang, bang, bang. Like their all their lives went gone at once. Like, oh, okay,
mhm.
I believe you.
Yeah. But again, lots of drama here. Specifically one person that's annoyed with Ayana is Anne. Again, a little bit more from Anne this season, where Anne did not want to take part in the plan that Ayana put together. Obviously, it couldn't have hurt to try it, considering how poorly the women's team did here. And so Ruthie gets involved, trying to kind of get in between them. But Ayana's getting pissed at Ruthie now for sound. When you try to play that mediator role that like Ruthie does here, there's very many times that like the person that you're trying to calm down or one of the people that you're trying to calm down either wants you all in on their side or just don't get involved at all. And so that's what Ruthie has to deal with here, that she's not helping Ayana enough in making her feel like she's correct, which to be fair to Ayana, she was correct. And
That's the thing
so
is, I
it's
feel
just
like
yes.
Ayana's correct and didn't really do anything, but frequently you'll see where Ruthie comes in and I feel like kind of is addressing Ayana as if she is the problem here, where
Mhm.
I don't think that was the case. And
No.
so I don't really blame her for where she gets to, where it's like, I'm not having fun anymore. I want to go home. I'm done. I've tried. These women don't respect me. And so, like, if that's going to be the case, what is the point of sticking around? And people make their effort. Ellen's like, we need you. You're a strong team leader. But Ayana is checked out at this point.
Yeah, I said earlier for Jake, this is a quit. Do I have to give that same energy to someone who I
Yes.
like a lot? Okay. Just checking. Yeah, this is a quit as well. Ayana, maybe a little bit more understandably so, in the sense of like, you can tell that she's frustrated, but it's still a quit is a quit. And so she decides that, the way that she presents it to us is maybe if I decide to leave on my own, that the girls will get a wake up call and, they'll see that they have to change something up if they want to win this game. That's probably not going to be the case,
No.
but she's still going to go home here.
Yeah. And it's tough because I feel like Ayana was one of their better competitors, but she's just over it. And so they have to respect her wishes. Because especially you have so many of the other women, like Lori's like, I've never played a sport before. So like, oh, okay. Well, then I don't really know what we're doing here.
Mhm. Yeah, it's like, to be fair, Ayana was at the bottom of the leaderboard. It's not like she just, completely goes from like fourth place or something to going home. And she
Yeah.
also like makes it to the elimination ceremony and stuff. So by all accounts, she was going to be in consideration to go home anyway, but she just kind of makes it much easier on them, Tanya style, almost to say, "Yep, let me go." Was Tanya a quit?
Kind of. Yeah.
Yeah,
I mean,
a lot of these have just been like,
I just
agreeable decisions.
aren't kind of most of them quits. Like I don't know if I like label it fully quitting, but
Yeah.
at the same time, they're very much fine with going home.
Yeah. I mean, obviously a difference in like what Puck does of like, no, I'm
Sure.
out of here, to, somebody has to go home and, I'm not going to put up a fight type of thing.
Yeah.
Also, when the challenge came to an end, they still needed to divide the guys up by their points system. And so when all the women are eliminated, they ended up having to split the guys into two teams to finish out the challenge. And so James is able to go on and get the win there, which brings us to this point where Blair is going to be, after so many rounds of barely escaping, elimination, he is in last place. James, as the winner, presents the lifesaver to Blair, but Blair has decided, I've done this so many times to this point of escaping death here, and this time I am going to go home.
Yeah. And so they dump soda all over him, which like
Yeah.
great. Awesome. Yeah.
Boys.
I'm sad to lose Blair. I knew him both from his like after show hosting on MTV and his hosting on G4. So I was excited to revisit the origins of Blair, thinking that there were more seasons. I thought he was on like at least 3, but no, this is it. I am sad to lose him.
Yep, never again will we see Blair back on the challenge. But I was happy to meet him. If we were ever doing like some sort of weird ranking of like all of the one-hit wonders of the challenge, we could definitely see him coming up at the top of the list of like who we'd want to see again type of thing.
Yeah, I think at some point we should probably maybe make a fantasy all-stars cast or something
Of the one-time players.
of people that have not been back for all-stars at least.
Okay, that's a good idea. We'll keep some kind of running list wherever we can make sense to do that. Ayana will be back one more time in 3 seasons from now before her All Stars run, of course, many years later. And already mentioned, but Veronica is back, a lot. The next 4 seasons and plenty more after that. So, closing up the stories of the eliminated players in this batch. I have some notes about the confessionals real quick, just that the confessionals for 2 particular contestants so far, Jamie, Murray, and Shane, both have 7 confessionals through 13 episodes. They are below 14 eliminated players, including Eric J.
Wow. All right. Well, that's what it's going to be, I guess.
Including David B. They are so far down this confessionals list.
Yeah, that's really wild.
Yeah, even like 5 confessionals below Lori, and 7 confessionals below Antoine. Like they are down in the gutters of the season. We'll see if that bounces up for them at any point. But I don't know. I see you quickly looking at the chart too. Anything else stand out to you from this point?
No, I mean, not surprisingly, the women are the stars of the show. So many of them at the top of the board, which is very funny. You got like Emily, Ellen, Emily, Ruthie, Ayana's up there, Veronica's up there. Really, the only men that are even competing are like Puck's still up there. You got Mark and Blair. That's about it.
Yeah, I was gonna mention the Mount Rushmore, of course, to kind of see, well, who are we gonna maybe consider of eliminated contestants so far? But like straight up, just looking at this confessional chart, like it's gonna, this isn't like the reason why these people are going to be in consideration, but it's going to be pretty easy to determine, who the contenders are from this season. It's just been very consistent. But I still will raise the question. We've seen a lot of eliminated people so far this season. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11 rounds of eliminations. 22 people have gone home. Anybody on your radar that you think could come up, at least for this season's Mount Rushmore, of those who have left us?
I would say that the top 3 confessional getters of the season are like of the eliminated players are the real potentials that I'm looking at. So that is Puck, Veronica, and Dan. I think they were all active parts of the season, but even if they went home early.
Yeah, there's a couple other people that made an impact in their time on the show here, like your Blairs, Rachel Robinson, Ayana to an extent, but like not enough. So I don't think some of those people are really going to come super close to the discussion, especially given we still have so many contestants left, that really the story has been centered around a lot of them. So going to be tough for a lot of these people. I would say it's pretty clearly like if I was picking one from the men's and the women's side, Puck and Veronica, that will be like in the discussion. Agreed. So we'll see where we go with that. As we have just a couple episodes left to finish out the season. Episodes 14 through 18 are remaining challenge episodes proper, I guess, plus a 2-part reunion before we get out of here.
Can't wait.
All right. Well, you made it through despite not feeling the best. So shout out to you.
Very much so. So hopefully by the next episode, I'm a little bit better, but we're getting there.
Yeah, I mean, if not, we can send, I guess, again, Puck and Eric to help heal you.
I need all my energy.
Yeah, I don't know if you will, let you decide what methods of theirs you want to use in order to do that. It sounds like they have some interesting options. But that'll do it for now. That'll do it for now. I would say I'm about good, unless, did I already ask you anything else? We're good?
No, just Twitter at Brian _Scally, Blue Sky at Brian Scally with the stuff, and Twitch twitch.tv/bscally, and that's it.
All right. Plenty of fun stuff happening on the Patreon feed for us, patreon.com/the free agents podcast. If you want access to all of our weekly bonus episodes, covering all different shows, Survivor, Drag Race, Big Brother, as that shows up sometime soon. We'll talk about some stuff along the way. Challenge off-season content. Very recently, we did a draft of who must never win the challenge. And the two of us will get points for the players that we picked of seasons that they go on in the future and don't win. Spoiler alert, somebody from this cast was maybe a very high, maybe even the number one pick of that draft. So that was a lot of fun. Check that out if you have not already. Along with all of these episodes go up early and ad free on Patreon. So that is that. But yeah, like Scally said, Twitter, Blue Sky, Twitch for Scally. Check out the Diary Room podcast for myself and Aman, talking all things Big Brother. But otherwise, that will do it for now. We'll be back very soon with Mel to finish out this season and talk through the Mount Rushmore. So we will have a tiebreaker with us in case we have any tough decisions to make this time. So that's good. But that'll do it for today. So thank you all for checking this one out. We'll be back soon. But until then, take care, and we hope to see you all in the future.